Okay, Mr. Leschenko, thank you for this interview. What is the latest situation militarily now? All the analysis say Russians are retreating from Kiev and center region. They're going to the east and they're going to keep Donbas region. What is the latest?
As for today, we have a result of 40 more days of fight, and this result is quite impressive for the whole world because Russia believed to occupy Kiev and took control over whole Ukraine during 3 days. And our president even was approached by international leaders to provide him special transportation abroad from Ukraine, but Ukraine survived. President in Kiev, brave Ukrainian army defended Kiev, and now there is no Russian army around capital, not in Kiev, neither in Chernigiv region. As for today, the main focus of Russian army is to take control over Donbas region. Donbas region is the territory which they recognized as independent state. It's a quasi-independent state because this is part of Ukraine, which partly was occupied in 2014 by Russian army. And in 2014, we saved under our control 2/3 of this territory. Now they want to take control over the whole territory of Donbas.
Yeah, I understand.
It will let Putin to declare that he achieved one of the goals of this war and to keep his face. And we, as Ukraine, of course, will defend our territory. We don't accept this approach to take control over what was our territory before 2022, 24 of March. Well, February, sorry.
Yeah, so I see your point, but how realistic is it for Ukraine to insist on Donbass? I mean, do you think if you kind of reach an agreement about the statue of Donbass, maybe is it more likely for this war to come to an end?
The end of the war will be when Ukraine and Russia stop this war by signing document which will guarantee Ukrainian independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and we will have international partners as the guarantors of this peace, let's say this way directly. As for today, we prepared a document, we share this document with Russia, but frankly speaking, my understanding that Putin will try to attack Donbass because he needs some result to present his voters and to explain people of Russia why more than 19,000 Russian soldiers died in this war, who died for nothing because this is stupid war from his side. He tried to occupy territory which belongs to another state with any proper reason, just because he believed that Ukrainians would welcome Russian army with the flowers. We welcomed this army with weapons, and thanks for our partners provided these weapons for Ukraine, but also we had our own brave soldiers able to defend our country. That is why this war is not finished, but we keep our fingers crossed to finish this as soon as possible and to have situation as for 24 of February.
So, ending the war, what does that mean for Ukraine? Do you want Russian soldiers out of Donbas region and Mariupol also?
Mariupol was part of Ukraine under Ukrainian control before 24 of February. That is why negotiation starting point for us that Russian army has to be taken away from everything they occupied after 24 of February. And our president said, I can only repeat this, that the victory of this war means to save life of our citizens.
Okay, so when you say Russian soldiers were non-existent in Mariupol before 24th of February, but there was some sort of like Russia recognized Donetsk and Luhansk, what they call people's republics, before 24th of February, right? So from your point of view, from what is Ukraine's position? Like, is there going to be like a referendum in Donetsk and Luhansk? And then, what will be the agreement? What can be the agreement?
If a referendum happened, it's going to be fake referendum under Russian troops on the territory, under Russian control over the polling stations, and no one person in the world would trust this referendum because it's impossible to have free and fair process of decision making when the army of another state present on this territory, and especially in Mariupol, which is destroyed now for 90%. If you see the video from Mariupol, it's a horrible humanitarian catastrophe there created by Russia. Today, or a few days ago, they announced that they're going to have their own local authority in Mariupol, who was never elected, who was never appointed by a legal Ukrainian authority, but just one of the fake leaders of this Donbas People's Republic, this fake state, declared that one of the politicians would be new mayor of Mariupol, which is nonsense, of course. But what is important to understand that Ukraine is not ready to share our sovereignty and territorial integrity with any country in the world. That is why we're not gonna accept this ultimatum of Putin. It means that Ukraine has to at least control the territory, which was as for 24th of February. And regarding Mariupol, I think we should discuss another issue. We should discuss the issue of how the city was destroyed, how the city was totally, let's say, washed in blood by Putin, because the city was Ukrainian industrial city with very strong pro-Ukrainian moods, pro-Ukrainian sentiments, and this city was protected from Russia in 2014. I believe for Putin it was like a slap in the face. That is why he decided to put so many efforts to take control over Mariupol, just because for Putin it's unacceptable when someone does not accept his brutal power, when someone does not accept to defeat, when he provides these ultimatums. And Ukraine demonstrated that we don't afraid Putin. We have strong army and we have strong partners who international leaders made us even stronger in these very difficult circumstances.
So world has been watching, the videos from Bucha and also Bordyanka. Mr. Zelensky says it's even worse. So there are war crimes being basically committed. However, Russian side says it's the Ukrainian side who are actually doing all these killings, and they're trying to put the blame on Russia. Have there been any international and objective bodies, institutions observing what happened in Bucha and Bordyanka? And
first of all, I was in Bucha and Borodyanka these days. I was in Bucha in the beginning of this week, and yesterday I was in Borodyanka to see my own eyes what really happened there, and I can say that it's horrible. And the city is gonna be the symbols of resistance, symbols of bravery of Ukrainians who did not defeat under this brutal pressure of Russian army. And of course, Russia has total responsibility of what happened there, because we have satellite videos, we have videos from on the ground done when Russia occupied the Bucha, and we can see on these videos and satellite photos that bodies of killed people present on the same place when it was video photographed and shooted by video and photo cameras when the city was liberated by Ukrainian army. So it means that these people died when Russia controlled this territory. Regarding Borodyanka, it was destroyed by avia bombing. So it was another example of brutality when they used like 500 kilo bombs against peaceful cities, against multi-apartment buildings, which were not military bases, which were not equipped by Ukrainian army, but it was just ordinary buildings with ordinary people living there. They destroyed the cultural center called after our national poet Taras Shevchenko. They destroyed the Ukrainian mail service office. They destroyed small buildings of peaceful citizens of. So this is a war crimes for sure, and I believe Russia has to pay a very high price for this, what happened in Borodyanka, Bucha, but also in other cities and towns of Ukraine. Regarding Chernihiv, the same. They bombed schools, hotels, they bombed multi-story apartment buildings, and they totally destroyed northern part of Chernihiv, where was the main bombing activity of Russian army, with the idea to move through Chernihiv toward Kiev. So Chernihiv was like a block post before they attacked Kiev.
Mhm. The West has been supporting Ukraine politically, with sanctions towards Russia and with weapons. However, the more this war drags on, basically, the Western countries are going to face like more inflation. The life is going to get harder for them. So maybe the citizens of these countries are not going to be as eager to support Ukraine, as today. To be realistic, I mean, the truth is awful sometimes, but that can be the case. So don't you think that somehow this war has to like end the sooner, and it would be better for Ukraine to, while you have all this support and everything?
I agree with you. We were not the side who started this war, and we would like to have peace on our territory as soon as possible. But what you propose us to accept ultimatum of Putin to provide him territory and to say that we're not gonna protect our land just because he has brutal power in his hands, I don't see it's a respectful position. And I believe that if some ultimatum of Putin was toward your nation would defend the nation with arms in your hands. We are brave Ukrainians. We don't want to be subordinated by Putin, who dictate us what to do. And believe me, if we accept his ultimatum today, next morning he will initiate another campaign against Ukraine to start another ultimatum. That is why we have to defend our territory. We have to fight for our independence. If you're talking about the mood of international community, it's very important to keep focus on Ukraine. That is why I very much appreciate your attention on this, and I very much appreciate all support from international community provided to Ukraine. What is also important, you're right, that from previous experience, war is not the topic from front page for every day if this war going on for like weeks and months. But we would like to finish this war as soon as possible. What we ready to propose? We're ready to negotiate with the international guarantees for Ukraine of security, territorial integrity, and we want to discuss with our potential guarantors what kind of protection it can be provided to Ukraine to avoid such situation in the future. Because if we are alone, face to face with Russia, I think they will start planning of new war immediately. We stop this war.
Do you think Mr. Zelensky and Putin are going to be sitting around the table, two of them, face to face, and signing an agreement soon?
This is what our president declared, not after the war started, but a year ago and 2 years ago, that he is calling for direct negotiations between two presidents to fix all issues which exist, if they really exist. Because from our side, we had only two questions to Russia: that they occupied Crimea and they occupied Donbass in 2014. Of course, as for today, it's completely different situation. They destroyed our cities and killed our citizens. And this war is not the war about how to denazify Ukraine, as Putin declared, but this is a war how Ukraine to survive as an independent nation. Because in the beginning of this war, I personally read articles of Russia propaganda where they just declared that Ukraine would not exist after this war finished. But Ukraine exists, Ukraine will exist, and what we really need, we need to have the support of international community to defend our territory. We need your support to restore our country, and of course to have guarantees to avoid such horrible wars in the future.
Let me ask you this as last question. What more Turkey can do for Ukraine? What else would you want and ask from Turkey?
First of all, we appreciate all support provided to Ukraine by all international communities, states, ordinary people, prime minister, presidents, of course, Turkey, one of the leaders of this coalition, to support Ukraine. And we very much appreciate everything was done by your country. And we appreciate your negotiation position. You provided us opportunity to have negotiation. And I believe if we're gonna go further with negotiation with Russia, I believe Turkey should be one of the guarantors and should be one of the platforms for such negotiations. Also, we very much appreciate military support of Ukraine, and we very much appreciate all efforts taken by Turkey to defend Crimea Tatars as a nation. I know how much efforts you pay to to support Crimean Tatars. This is another catastrophic situation which was provoked by Russia when they took control over Crimea and started repression against Crimean Tatars. So, to make my long answer shorter, I believe Turkey one of the crucial factors in this situation, and I think it's impossible to let's say it's very important that you are part of this process. And I believe you can be more present in this process, of course, because as much you're present is better for us to feel us safe. But even what has been done for today, it's a lot. It's
So
much
what
more
does being more present mean? What do you mean by saying Turkey should be more present?
to be part of this guarantors process, to sign these guarantees for Ukraine, to provide Ukraine more weapons, to provide more Bayraktars. This is very unique military equipment which led us to defend Ukraine effectively, and we very much appreciate this military help, to be present as a part of a coalition to restore Ukrainian cities. So there are a lot of things have to be done in Ukraine after the war is finished, and that is why I would like to thanks Turkey people, thanks your leadership for this help, and
Okay.
thanks
One last
for your attention as well.
That's our job. Well, Turkey has S-400 systems, and it's like sometimes it's being talked about. Do you think Ukraine would make use of S-400 systems? Would you want Turkey to send you S-400 systems?
What I can say that in Ukraine, among government people, we have very strict rules to comment military supply issues only under some special permission. That is why I would like to keep my distance from commenting any specific military issues. But what I can support that Ukraine would like to have more military help from your side as well in general, and of course we need anti-aircraft system to defend our skies, and of course you read that Slovakia provided us with S-300 systems. It's public information, and I believe as much we have this anti-aircraft system, as higher chance for us to finish this brutal war sooner than later. What I can say, we appreciate all help. If it's specific topic of anti-aircraft system, it has to be discussed very low profile, under the closed doors and by specialists.
Okay. I see. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you the best.
Thank you for your efforts to share truth about Ukrainian ability to defend us and about this war. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome.